was an early bronze city. In fact, they were able to prove that even in early bronze times they had a wall around the city. And part of it can be seen up to the left. All of that city was a massive big one, and they had the location specifically so the slopes of the hill would bring water down into a big cistern. And it was made probably in Ahab's time. Ahab died in 853. And so he was a warrior king, and this may have been used much earlier as well, but it is very large. It's open today. And so I think we can afford the time to go to the top if we can get in, if you want to go out. Open. So now here you can see the worm. Everything below it is original. Everything has been reconstructed above. This is the courtyard, much reduced. It was 150 by 75 feet originally, the original one. The Holy of Holies is back there. We'll go there in a minute. And this was called the Court of the Sanctuary. And this was the sacrificial altar. Normally they were not to have an altar, Moses' time, made with anything but uncut stones. This one is. And it had been put here as, what can I say, a dilution of the original law, where there was to be only one temple in Jerusalem. And so they did it as authoritative as possible. If we could have visited Beersheba, we'd have seen a real sacrificial altar, 5 feet by 5 feet by 8 feet, typical size of an altar, with 4 horns sticking straight up, the extension of the 4 corners, and then rounded down. That meant the horns were the horns of a bull, for example, is its strength. A ram is its strength. So our horns point to God. So it was the 4 corners of the horns. There's one verse in Psalm 118 where it mentions tie the sacrificial animal on the horns of the altar. So they tied down this goat or this ram so that they could slit the throat. They had to slit the throat to let the blood out so that they would not have any meat with blood in it and make the animal slowly die to death by this. So this would have been the place where they sacrificed animals. And here is the holy place. This water is such bad repair here, they put this place, but this was a room in here where was the holy place. That would have normally been under a tent structure, and it would have been separated from the courtyard because it would be out in the open, and the sacrificial altar was always there. The laver, there's no evidence of where one was, that washed the blood, the hands, before they came into the holy place. And the holy place was, of course, where there were 3 pieces of furniture, only 2 out there. But the candelabrum that burned olive oil, representing the 12 tribes, and a table for 12 loaves of bread to represent each of the 12 tribes, and also the incense altar, which stood right before the holy place, the Holy of Holies place. So it would have been here. There are the 2 stones I told you about, and there were these 2 altar pieces here. These are the original steps, and they may have used this for the incense altar. No indication of horns, but still that's what they were for. So this was considered the Holy of Holies, the holy place. And did they have the furniture? Must have, we don't know, but that's the sacrificial altar. It was for 3 centuries, from the time of Rehoboam until the time of Hezekiah, who centralized worship back in Jerusalem. So this was unused from that point on. So this is the only one that was found where there was this temple attempt to not have to go so far, because 3 times a year all men were to go to Jerusalem to be at the temple 3 times a year. Any questions at all about that?
What did they do with all the blood that they had? There must have been tons of blood.
There were, and they collected most of it. But you can imagine why they needed the laver when that heart starts pumping the blood. It's splattering over everyone.
Right.
But they're trying to collect it and use it, of course, in the sacrificial purposes. And on the Day of Atonement, which was 10 days after the beginning of the new year, Rosh Hashanah,
Yom Kippur.
well, Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement, but New Year, 10th day, everybody's got to remember the last year. Did you commit any sins that you forgot? They must be confessed. We can't go into a new year with sins. And so as a result, that was the only fast for 24 hours. New York University, which was heavily populated by students, they always closed Yom Kippur like 2:30. They eat a big meal, but they're to contemplate anything that was not confessed. And it was put on the Azazel goat, the going away goat. It was Latin version scapegoat, but it's the Azazel goat. The sins are not to be brought back. They're to be put on that animal. They're to be taken away, and so that was on the Day of Atonement. But this, of course, was the temple irregular outside of Jerusalem, which was destroyed by Hezekiah with his massive revival over the whole country. Okay,